Wow, every once in a while you read a comment that just stops you dead in your tracks, makes you think. As a matter of fact, I've been thinking about this for several weeks. And that's the state of Canada and what's happening in Canada right now that's been going on for the last, well, let's say 15 years, or more prominently the last five. And the control and the power, the shift. Is Canada going to survive? Can Canada survive? And as stated in the comment, it can only go two ways. You see, Canada is a large country. From coast to coast, we have multiple cities, and those cities are so vastly different from one another, they can't relate to each other. So, if you have one governing party, one federal government governing all of Canada and those diversities, it can only do so by dictatorship, fascism, basically forcing people to not be different. Does that sound familiar? Does that trend look like reality? That's the way I see it. They want everybody to think the same, act the same, do the same. And the other option is to have smaller regional governments, provincial governments, and much smaller federal governments. And that can only come in one way. That's if the provinces separate. And if the provinces separate into individual countries, land masses, you no longer have division. You no longer have dictatorship or fascism. You no longer have a federal government that is forcing people how to act, forcing people how to think, what to speak, what they can see, what they can read. You see, Ottawa has no relationship whatsoever to Calgary. Calgary has no idea the runnings of Vancouver, and Vancouver has no idea of St. John's, because they have different people, different beliefs, different cultures, different economies. So how can one government run a country so vast as Canada? Has it happened in history? No, it doesn't. The most successful countries in the world that have been here the longest are the smallest, not the biggest. I think it's time. I think we are seeing a monumental shift in power and a monumental shift in government. And right now we have a government that is fighting for control. It is fighting for dictatorship, fascism, socialism. And they are forcing their beliefs on every city from coast to coast. Because we don't have a democracy anymore. When people cross the floor, they take your votes with them when they weren't asked. We have governments that are assumed to promote themselves from a elected minority government to a majority with ultimate power. That's not democracy. So what is the answer? If Canada is to survive and the provinces are to operate healthy without the iron fist of the federal government, the only option is for them to separate. And we're seeing that with Alberta. I think they get it. I'm starting to understand why. But I don't think it just applies to Alberta. I think it applies to every province. It's okay to have smaller federal government and much larger, more powerful regional governments, which represent the provinces and their needs and their economy and their beliefs and their people. Because you can't have both. And you heard that correctly. You can't have both. You cannot have one governing party over a country so vastly different and so vastly divided with different needs than Canada. So what do you think? If Canada is to survive, how do we go about doing this? How do we do it so that all the provinces are looked after equally? Each province is successful for what it needs for its own population. What's the answer? Is Canada done? Has Canada ultimately fallen? I mean, did it take 13 years of this Liberal government and all the crap that's come with it, record debts and unemployment and forcing their beliefs on us and everybody else, and no accountability? That's the big one. Has it truly come to the end of its term? Is it, to survive, going to have to separate into individual countries, provinces? I don't know. What do you think? Because I don't see it continuing the way it is, especially when this government gives themselves a majority. I think this country is going to change negatively. And I think if it changes negatively the way a large population is thinking, it's going to be irreversible, and it's going to be too late. I don't know. What do you think? What are your thoughts?